Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Living the Sweet Life. I'm your host TJ Sweet, and on this podcast, I'm going to be sharing different ways that can help you live with intention, reshape your mindset, and look at the world through a grateful lens. So I want to thank you, first of all, like I do in every episode, for joining me today, for dedicating time to listen every week. Obviously, these episodes come out every Monday, and if you want notification, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. So we call them Mindset Mondays because we want to win the week by winning the day, by winning our mind on Monday. This week, I'm really excited to talk about. It's something that is really important in my life, and it's kind of manifested in different ways, but it's probably something you've heard of before. But I really want to slow down and really dive into this a little bit more. And this week, it's about the serenity prayer. So I'm going to take a minute first to actually read the serenity prayer, and then I'm going to break down different aspects of this and how it can play a role in your life in achieving your goals. The prayer goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, there's three different aspects there that will take intentional behaviors and habits to embrace and change and live by. So this episode is really about achieving your goals with purpose while also giving yourself time for self-reflection. So the first part of that prayer is accepting the things that you cannot change. I know that's a hard topic to think about. I know that's a hard thing to accept sometimes. But oftentimes, if we focus so much on the things that we can't control, we can't focus on the things that we can. But when you slow down and think about what are the things that you can't control, that you complain about, that you stress about, that you think about, that derail your progress. And really what this kind of boils down to is understanding what actually do you control. And you always control your attitude, your mindset, your beliefs, your behavior, your words. You control all of that. But how often are you spending more time on those things compared to the external things? And so think about the internal factors about your life and about your feelings and where you want to be compared to the external factors of our lives. Now, this is important to think about not being a victim, right? The things you cannot change, I want you to nudge that. I want you to doubt your doubts. I want you to really slow down and think about what are the things that you can't change, not because you haven't been able to change it before and not because it's hard to change it. What are the actual things that you cannot change? And this is going to take some time and self-reflection, but this is really more about process more than the outcome. We can work really hard, but we can't guarantee the outcome. If you give a certain effort and you expect an outcome, you may be let down. But the thing you can always control is your effort. So if you're a business owner and you implement a new idea, a new strategy, you can control the effort and the time that you put into that. But what you can't control is how much money you make off of that strategy or that marketing that you did. But there are times when we can control the outcome when we focus on the process. So what I really want you to do, kind of the call to action, I'm going to give you one for each of these sections. But write down what are the things within your control. Write down the things out of your control. There's another great tool called Locus of Control that you can go grab and use that. But it's so important to understand, what are you holding on to? You only have two hands, right? You can think about this visual of what you're holding on to. Is it something that you can control, or is it something that you can't? Because if it's something that you can't control, learn to let it go. Learn to release it. So then your hands are ready to grab a hold of the things that you can. Second visual is a backpack. What are the things in your backpack? Are you carrying around rocks? Are you carrying around things that are going to help you on your journey? Are you carrying around things that are going to propel you forward or things that are holding you back? When we talk about things that we can't change and things that we can't control, the first thing I want you to think about is the past. There's a lot to be said for being present and keeping your eyes forward. But sometimes we spend so much time and effort trying to change the past by the way we live now. But I'd really just encourage you to live in the now and start controlling the things you can control. The second piece of that serenity prayer is change what you can. Give me the courage to change what you can. Sometimes it takes courage just to acknowledge that you can actually change it. When it comes to finding out the things that you can control and can't control. Obviously, the first piece around, accepting what you can't change has already been, I've already talked about that, but really start taking action with the things after you make your list, the things you can control, start taking action towards those things. The focus on progress is really going to really kind of reinforce and inspire you to keep trying to take more action to change the things that you want to change. The processes and things that you're doing right now is important to think about. What are you holding on to versus what are you moving forward towards? And, there are often times, we need to self-reflect enough to know that we're holding on to something that we can't change anymore. But if you're holding on to purpose, if you're holding on to gratitude, to optimism, those are the things that are going to help you recognize what you can change, because you know it matters, and you know your effort matters and your behavior matters. And, really the most simple way to kind of think about what are you able to control, what changes can you make? Again, it goes back to your effort, your attitude, your mindset, your behaviors, the different types of habits that you have. Those are all things that are within you. And it does take a process to understand. You think you may be able to change some things that you can't, but the only way to find out is to do. So the call to action for this one is to break down your goals, break down what you want, break down the different aspects of your life down to the smallest possible step that you can. Once you understand the smallest step, that encourages us to take action. If we start thinking about the big goal and can't focus on how we're going to get there, right? The how we're going to get there is the thing that we can control, the thing that we can change. You've heard this before, but talking about finding more joy in the journey than just the destination. That's what this step is all about. Control what you can. You take you everywhere with you. And you can always control your effort and your attitude, because those are things that nobody can take away from you. So break down your goals, break down the things that you want in your life into the smallest possible steps, so that you gain momentum and confidence that you can start taking the change that you need to in your life. Now, the third one is a tough one, but it's probably the most important, because if we don't understand what we can't change and we don't understand what we can change, how can we ever decide the difference between the two if we don't label those two things? So this third one is all about, give me the wisdom to know the difference. Wisdom comes from experience, comes from your own life lessons. It comes from learning from other people. It comes from time and patience and dedication. Turning your wounds into wisdom is something we've already talked about on other episodes. And so understanding your adversity, leading you to wisdom so that you know how you respond to adversity and how to avoid that again. It's the same thing here. So when you think about really focusing on what you can and cannot change, it takes practice. It takes doing and taking action to really understand the difference between the two. And this is something to where you're going to have to give yourself grace. You're going to have to be okay, not being perfect all the time. You're going to have to be okay with thinking you can change an outcome, but being humble enough to know that there comes a point in time where you think you can't change it, so that you can focus on more things that you can. And so if you really want to make a change in your life, being able to self-reflect and journal, and this is probably the best way to gain the wisdom that we're talking about here today, is really slow down and write down on a daily basis. Daily journaling is something I've talked about that's really powerful, because it really allows you to be in the moment, but it also helps you see your progress. And so write down lessons you've learned, things that you wish you could do better, things that you did well. That's where the wisdom to know the difference between things you can and cannot change. Give yourself grace as you go along this journey of really letting go of the things that may be holding you back, that aren't in our control anymore. But once you start acting out of the place of being in charge of your own life and not being the victim, but in fact being empowered, you'll start to recognize there's so much more opportunity in the things that we can control. And, as you work through your journey, it's really important to focus on what you want, remember why it matters. And as you work your way through these different things, just know every chapter of your life, whether it's a goal you have, a relationship, career, whatever it is, it's understanding this process of controlling what you can, letting go of what you can't, and really being patient and humble enough to know the difference, that's really going to help you achieve any goal or achieve anything that you want to have in your life. And so as I kind of wrap this episode up, I really just want to encourage you to slow down, journal, think about the things that you cannot change with humility. Find the courage to change the things that you actually can and give yourself credit for when you actually do it. And then also spend some time thinking about the wisdom that you've gained by spending time in both of those places of things you can control and things that you can't, because life's going to throw us different things all the time. And there's opportunities that come up that we really need to apply this lesson. I appreciate you tuning in to this episode. I hope it speaks to you in a unique way, and I hope you find a way to kind of weave this in, integrate this into who you are and what you're doing. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do that now so that you get notifications when these episodes come out every Monday. And I will wrap up this episode like I do with every other episode, and reminding you that you always have the power and the choice to reshape your mindset, live with intention, look at the world through a grateful lens. Until the next episode, never stop.